Well, scientists and tourists have been flocking to Iceland, where a massive volcano is erupting. People living in the country's capital started to see it fume and spurt lava starting March 19th, and that's just about 20 miles away. But before the volcano finally set off, thousands of earthquakes rattled the region. Seth Doane sat down with a volcanologist to learn more about the recent eruption.
There's a 50-50 chance that this eruption will end tomorrow, or it will last for decades, in my opinion.
That's quite a range.
It is. And I think it is more likely to, keep on going than stopping.
There's some disagreement among scientists on this.
Always.
Thordarson explained there are usually eruptive episodes which can last for hundreds of years.
And then there's a pause that lasts for 500 to 1,000 years, or about 800 years on average.
And the last eruption on this peninsula was 800 years ago.
So we cannot do for, the next one.
We're due for it.
Yeah.
Are you saying this is the beginning of another more volcanic cycle here?
I think so.
Backed by the lava flow, he took us closer to the vent, or opening.
You're smelling the gas, smelling the sulfur, and it can be dangerous.
Yes, it can be.
The wind changes quickly, and with gas back at safe levels, he stopped to look at a piece of lava blasted from the vent with such force that it was different in texture and color from what he had been seeing.
And the intensity of those bursts is that much greater than it was 2 days ago.
It helps you understand the past.
Yes, and learning about the past helps us with predicting the future. And now we're getting another burst.
And I'm smelling gas again.
Yes. What's the matter? The gas is too high here.
We're getting out of here.
Okay, come.
There's too much gas.
Let's move.
Why do you want to move so quickly?
We're downwind from the lava river at the moment, and we're getting gas off the lava.
That's why those alarms are going off.
Yes.
Why is time so important here?
Prolonged exposure to any of these gases, especially SO2, can cause a lasting damage to your lungs.
With a smaller eruption like this, gas, including sulfur dioxide, can be among the biggest dangers.
So 60 Minutes Plus correspondent Seth Doane is back from that trip and joins us now. Seth, it's so interesting because when I think about a volcano erupting, in my mind, it's this sort of massive explosion, like sort of literally and figuratively, this mountain is blowing its top. But it doesn't seem like that. It's more almost like sort of an ongoing oozing, and the images are always quite stunning, but what you don't get from the images are the other things that we saw right there. The smell. So was it hot? I want to get a sense of what your experience was like, the things that we just can't pick up from the video alone.
Absolutely. The smell, you not only had the smell of lava, Anne-Marie, but you also had the smell of burning grass, because from this vent, the volcano will erupt and will send these little tiny pieces of lava. Actually, as you get so close, at times it rains down on you and it sounds like rain around you. Luckily, it mostly cools in the air before it gets to you, but sometimes it'll land, there'll be a little piece of some molten hot lava and it will start a grass fire. So you'll have smells of grass fire. It's interesting, we got so close on one side of the volcano, we're still about a mile, sometimes we were less than 1,000 feet on one side where there was really that explosive side, and then we drove about a mile away from it and you could still feel the heat. We're on this other kind of lava front where there was this 30-foot high, ever so slowly creeping wall of lava, and you could still feel the heat. At times it was close to 2,000 degrees, even a mile from the volcano. And in a way, you focus so much on that explosive side, the fountaining, which is so spectacular. But I loved this lava front where you could just feel the power of this 30-foot high wall of lava, which sounded like breaking dishes or breaking glass. It had this kind of almost tinny kind of sound, and the wall was slowly creeping ever closer to you. We couldn't park our car too close.
Wow. So you don't get that sense at all, because often people are taking pictures and they're zooming in and you feel like, oh, they must be pretty close. Well, of course. Well, yeah. Well, you're doing a good job selling it, sir. So in the piece, you spoke to scientists. What are they studying?
They're studying all sorts of different things, Emery. They look at, for instance, the gas, which you saw in that clip that you played coming into our segment. You saw Thorthordarson, and you could hear that beeping. Those are gas meters that say you're too close. And he mentions they're concerned about sulfur dioxide, which can be really dangerous. So you have some who are studying the gas. Thordarson looks more at the lava flow. He uses drones and different tools to kind of measure and ultimately model and hopefully predict how the lava is going to flow. I had mentioned we were driving with the rescue personnel up around these bits of lava. At times you would get to the end of a road, it would be swallowed up by the lava, and as the volcano explodes, erupts in different ways, it pushes lava in different directions, and it can block roads and make it quite complicated to get around. Some are looking at the magma itself, how it's formed, what's in it, where it's coming from. So you have all these different scientists who are looking at different things. And what you mentioned at the top, you're correct. Usually you think of a volcano as this explosive eruption, and many of them are, but this is what's called an effusive eruption. It's this oozing. So it is far more accessible for scientists and for tourists. That's one of the things that fascinated me most. You think of volcano tours, you think of Iceland, and you probably think of a beautiful blue lagoon, that silica-filled blue lagoon, which people go and bathe in the warm baths. That is obviously volcanic activity that's heating those baths. As you go around, you see all of the geothermal power plants in the region. Well, volcano tourism is something, and around 90,000 people have about an hour-long hike up there to see this volcano. It's about an hour from the closest road, and because it's this effusive eruption, people can get remarkably close.
I think we did a story, just a very brief story, a couple of weeks ago about how officials in Iceland had started to kind of cordon off areas to make sure the tourists kept their distance. I'm wondering, was this kind of like a free-for-all in terms of tourism, or was it very well organized for people who want to go up there and gawk?
They have a lot of security personnel out there, civil protection forces and such, who are patrolling the area, keeping people back. They have these gas detectors so that if you get too close, they'll call people back, and the wind can change quite quickly, and the volcano can erupt and push this ash close to people. So yeah, there are a lot of people who are limiting access. It's not by any stretch a free-for-all, but where it is in this valley and the way that you can get so close on another very close mountain really makes it remarkably accessible. People hire helicopters as well, but most people just hike in, and we spoke to a number of people who had gone more than once. They say this volcano is changing so much that you can go and see a totally different part of it. You're saying, what do you not appreciate on TV? We met these one folks who weren't even facing, they were having their lunch, they had hiked out there, and they weren't even facing the volcano itself. They were on the back end where the heat was coming up from the valley of this amazing lava flow as it filled the valley, and they were just enjoying watching these rivers of lava, and warmed up by the heat, of course.
Of course. Seth Doane, we are all living vicariously through you. Another adventure. Thank you so much.
Another adventure. Thanks, Anne-Marie. Nice to see you.
You can watch Seth's full report right now on 60 Minutes Plus. It is available on our streaming service, Paramount Plus.